อันนั้นนี่ก็ได้เควินนั่งมือลูกเควินมือผู้ชายเควินนั่งมือเควินมือ
ยังไม่ชินเลยแกมานั่งกับแม่ก็เป็นไรนั่ง
Thank you. Yeah, good. Okay, so invite people to come into the hall. There's chairs inside as well if anybody wants to come in and sit on a chair. As well as the benches. So there's places for people to sit.
You letting me have this?
Well, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen because one of them is sick, so they're deciding what I think they might have to go into the emergency room or something. Yeah.
My daughter also thank you.
I think they're deciding. Đi, có một lần nào. Đi. Đây. Đi. Okay, so we can begin the afternoon ceremonies. First of all, I'd just like to welcome everybody and express my delight and appreciation that so many people have made the effort to come out today. There's a variety of occasions that are commemorating today. One is I did come back, and then my 70th birthday, which we were all ready to have a day to celebrate my celebrate my birthday on 70th birthday on July 27th. The actual birthday was July 26th, but then on the 25th, and then I got news that I was appointed a Chao Khun and receiving a Chao Khun title, or a further Chao Khun title from the king, along with Luang Por Pasanno, Ajahn Amaro, Ajahn Jayasaro, and myself, 4 of us honored on the same day, so that today is a day to celebrate that. And my actual birthday, I was on the plane. So I got news on the 25th, and I started thinking, of course the first thing I thought is, can I get out of this? And the more information I got about what it was, then it was obvious that it would be, I had to be there. And so that, and then doing the calculations, and sort of, well, okay, it's the 25th. If I need the ceremonies on the 28th, I got to get on a plane tomorrow before noon in order to make it in time. So I pulled it together and was on the plane the next day and arrived in Thailand. So then today is a day of also acknowledging that the Chao Khun title and receiving that. And of course we've just finished the procession, and to begin the ceremonies this afternoon, the Sangha will lead the lay community in doing a formal asking of forgiveness, which is a traditional way of paying respects as well. It's not just a forgiveness ceremony, but it's a traditional way that one pays respects on special occasions. Say, like when we received our Chao Khun titles, then that evening we went, after we spent the whole day in ceremonies, and then after that was all done, and then late evening, then we went to a senior monk's monastery, and then paid respects to him, and that our way of paying respects was also to ask for forgiveness. So it's a very beautiful but simple ceremony, and that sense of how we create bonds of connection with each other, that there's a sense of both respect and a sense of really wanting to always be on the right foot, and so that sense of that gesture of humility to say, if I've done anything that's unskillful by body, speech, or mind, please forgive me. And then the senior monk's response is, I offer my forgiveness. Please accept my if I've done anything wrong, please give me forgiveness as well. So it's this mutual. There's a in the suttas. There's probably more in the Vinaya, where the Buddha talks of growth in this teaching and and training is grounded in mutual admonition and mutual encouragement. So that's how we live together as human beings in a skillful way. So Ajahn Sheikh will lead the community, and I think people have what? This is asking for Dhamma Talk. Okay, well, just as Ajahn Chah used to say, like when sometimes we'd go to a ceremony and for chanting, and he would and you'd say, I don't know the chanting yet. He says, okay, just sit peacefully and go, ring ding, ring ding, ring ding. You'll be okay. Just look like you know what you're doing. so anyway, begin by paying respects and Ahang kamami tumhe pime kamitabang Te atalanda sukita vilulha buddha sasane Aroga sukita hota sahasambe hinyatipi sambe buddha Balapanta panche kananjayang balang Arahantha nancha teje narakang banda mi sabba soของกันนะมีธาตุไหม มีธาตุไหมมีธาตุไหม I'm just looking for a like a tray. Oh, perfect. Oh, really? Okay. Well, you better follow Apple's instructions then. Okay. So, but it can be put there, and then you can.
He said as long as they were facing out.
Okay. Well, just go ahead. But I can use the tray to receive them. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Thì có một thằng nào yeah. Thì có một thằng nào shouldn't take those. Yeah, go ahead. They can put those there. Put them on. Treasure. There we go. Got it. Đại tháng 2. ที่นั่นช่วยส่งฝากคน Yes. Okay. Very good. I will do that. Okay, great. You can put it right there. Thank you. Thank you. She's getting shy all of a sudden. Okay, con một thôi. Okay, thì con một thế nào? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll take on me tonight. Yes, yes. Look after your knees. Thank you. Oh, it's good to be yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, you can offer. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, great. Really? I just broke mine this morning. Yes, yes. There we go. How are you doing? That's good to be here, I'm sure. Thank you. Yeah. you.
เจ็บเข่า
พ่อตาแต่ลุกไม่ขึ้น
เอาที่ก่อนอนุโมทนา
เสือไปเกาะ
Oh, okay, thank you. Lovely. Set it there. Thank you. There we go, one for each. That's good enough. So the next thing is... Yes, okay. Okay, so over here, Tony's going to do that, apparently.
Tony first and Gary second.
That's okay. That's easy.
Tang Namo 3 จบพร้อมกันนะครับนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิมานิมะยังพันเตพัตตานิสัปปริวารานิภิกขุสังคัสสะโอโนชยามะสาธุโนพันเตภิกขุสังโฆข้าแต่พระสงฆ์ผู้เจริญข้าพเจ้าทั้งหลายขอน้อมถวาย ซึ่งภัตตาหารกับของที่เป็นบริวารทั้งหลายเหล่านี้แด่พระภิกษุสงฆ์ขอพระภิกษุสงฆ์จงรับซึ่งภัตตาหารกับของที่เป็นบริวารทั้งหลายเหล่านี้ของข้าพเจ้าทั้งหลายเพื่อประโยชน์เพื่อความสุขแก่ข้าพเจ้าทั้งหลายสิ้นกาลนานเทิน
So that was a Sangha Dana offering, and there's a variety of offerings that were made to the Sangha and for today, and in particular the intention of people asked me because there were going to be some monetary offerings made, and asked me what would be a good use to put to it for, say, on this occasion. And I said, well, we could start a jetty fund because we've been talking about it for years. We've got a place picked out for a jetty. Of course, it's way back in the forest, and it's not going to happen quickly. But to begin to have a fund where we could start doing some preliminary, at least thinking about it more clearly, and so that I think it's a good use of. I think a jetty is something that is definitely for the benefit of everybody. And I think in terms of Buddhism, like the jetties or the pagodas are something that were used before they even started, like Buddha images and different representations of the Buddha or different kind of shrines. It was those jetties, those pagodas were something that were considered sacred very early on in the Buddha's time. So good. We've been not very well. We had other things to do, but now we've got we've got facilities and we've got bathrooms and we've got a kitchen, so that having a nice shrine, I think, in the future would be something quite lovely for everybody. So anyway, just to acknowledge what it's going for and for people to recognize it's like just my anumodana to everybody's generosity. Okay, and then there'll be a request for Dhamma Talk. No.
This is actually part of this ceremony today, Ajahn, that you're not aware of.
Okay. There's been a lot that I'm not aware of.
Here's another one.
Okay.
So in Thailand, in Thai culture, whenever someone is being honored for their gratitude, or expressing gratitude for their dedication and their service and the benefits that they've given to their community and to the society at large, it's often the case that a special poem is written. And this poem is called a Wandadilo. And it's written in a very aesthetically pleasing, very special form of Thai language, a high form of Thai language that's not used in everyday Thai communication. And so the community here felt that it would be especially appropriate to have such a poem composed at this occasion for John's 70th birthday and in honor of the honor that he was given by the king and by the Sangha in Thailand. And so they reached out to a member of the Thai Sangha here in America, whose name is Lursak Ponglulert, who lives in Fresno. His nickname is Dham. You might remember him as Dham. And Dham is an accomplished painter an accomplished musician, a published novelist in Thai language, and also a poet. And so he was chosen to be the one to create this poem to honor Ajahn. And in a moment we'll have a reading of the poem that's been recorded that will be played. And then Debbie is going to read a translation into English of the poem that was written by Dhamm's wife, Leslie Bullock, who, as it turns out, was a student of Ajahns when he was the abbot of Wat Pah in Thailand many years ago, and is also part of the extended Sangha. The two of them both live in Fresno. So I'd also just like to say that poems like this often end with a blessing. And so if you would like to add your assent to the blessing at the end of the poem, then when Debbie is finished reading in English, we might all together say sadhu.
No, that's it. Okay. Yeah, it's a recording now.
เบญจางคะน้อมประดิษฐานศิรการภิกษุทรงครองศีลวิถีพระพุทธองค์อริยสงฆ์กล่าวขานพระคือพระราชโพธิวิเทศฤทธิเดชทุกเขตสถานพิชิตริปูกิเรศสมานประพฤติทานประทานพรดังแก้วมณีจรูญจรัสปากายรัตประพัดสอนแผ่บารมีประสบกนิกรวิริยะสอนวิชาธรรมชี้ทางธรรมะมักประเสริฐปุณณเกิดกุศลนำทางถากทุกขวิบากและกรรมสุขธรรมสุขหะไทยพระเป็นพระนำสมณสงฆ์สละปงโรกิยวิสัยสอนสัจจะทุกสมุทัยนิโรธไสสู่มรรคาร้องเพียงประกาศพระพุทธธรรมปัญญานำปฏิปทาประเทศประจิมรุบูรพาพระพุทธาจำเริญเรืองจึงขอพรวอนเทวาในชั้นฟ้าโปรยมาลาทั้งปวงจากสรวงสวรรค์เป็นเกราะแก้วคุ้มครองช่วยป้องกันตลอดเส้นทางพรหมจรรย์ประสันโน
โ
so I won't be singing. We offer the deepest bow to this true and pure monk, a monk who has practiced diligently for many years, is well respected and well known. He is Phra Raj Bodhividesa, one who defeats obstacles wherever he goes, with his understanding of the Dharma, with his wisdom and compassion. Like a bright jewel shining in all directions, to protect and encourage people, with his wise teaching of the Dharma. He guides people in the great Dharma to bring good merit and good karma for themselves. He teaches the path of liberation from suffering, which brings peace to the heart and mind. He leads his monks to leave the world of desires and attachment and to follow the Four Noble Truths: suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path to the cessation of suffering. He leads his monks to practice the path of Buddha Dhamma as the path of their life. So, from the east to the west, the Dhamma flourishes. Therefore, we ask all angels to scatter petals of flowers from heaven, to bless him and be a shield to protect him along his holy journey.
So now we'll do the requesting of the Dhamma Talk, and we should all have found a paper with that on your seats. Brahmachaloka dipati samapati katanjali
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Again, just to express my appreciation and delight for everybody's efforts at coming out today, and the setting up of a ceremony on occasion to particularly to acknowledge the receiving of a Chao Khun title. And the other day I had an interview with Tricycle magazine, that's a Buddhist magazine, and they asked me what a Chao Khun title was. And I said, well, it's kind of hard, I don't know, I mean it's it is an honor, but I'm not, how do you put it into words? I don't know. But it, and in particularly the occasion was the first time that the new king of Thailand was giving honors to the monastics and the within the lay society, people who have made some sort of contribution, and the new king specifically chose Luang Por Pasanno, myself, Ajahn Amaro, Ajahn Jayasaro to receive titles. Both Luang Por Pasanno, Ajahn Amaro, myself already had a Chao Khun title, so it was a further honor. And Ajahn Jayasaro was this is the first time he's received a title, and but to me, I felt it was say an acknowledgement or recognition of the contribution that Ajahn Chah and his Western Sangha have contributed to Buddhism, both in Thailand and in the West, so that it didn't definitely didn't feel something as if it was a personal thing, and to me it was really a great recognition of what Ajahn Chah's ability to teach and train, and not just Westerners are a small proportion of the students of Ajahn Chah, the monastics and the lay community. So we're just a bit more visible, being Phrungs and all. But it say within Thailand, Ajahn Chah's monasteries, there's probably over 300, I'll bet, and with some really exceptional teachers and examples, and of course in different Western countries or outside of Thailand, there's probably over 20 monasteries that are set up for monks and nuns to be practicing, and so that's coming from an individual like Ajahn Chah, who grew up in the countryside of kind of a far-flung province in northeastern Thailand. So that's quite that is a real accomplishment, and I think is important to recognize that. Of course, and if people start when Ajahn Chah was alive and teaching, and people were, giving him respect and acknowledgement, and he would say, well, it's not about me, it's about, we get everything from the Buddha. The Buddha is our source of inspiration and guidance. So it's the fundamental refuges of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha that keep returning to. And say when Ajahn Chah received, because he did receive a Chao Khun title from the King of Thailand, and when he did, it was my early days of being a monk and training with Ajahn Chah, and I remember all of us going to the train station. You didn't take planes in those days, because what's now the airport, that was the American Air Force base, fighter bomber base, and it wasn't really used for domestic flights. It was a military base, but so everybody went, say, back and forth to Bangkok by train, and so there was a whole contingent of the monastery and branch monasteries and citizens of Ubon were all in the station waiting for Ajahn Chah to arrive, and it's an overnight train ride. He arrives first thing in the morning, and then it was huge numbers of people, and then he received people, and then started walking on alms round through the streets of Warren, and then everybody started lining up, and he bailed out pretty quick, but the rest of us had to continue walking through. It was almost to the edge of Warren. I mean, there, Mook would know how long that is. It felt like a long way, and so that it's rare for forest monks to receive that kind of honor. It's rare for say some, as you say, a simple monk from a village in the northeast of Thailand to receive that honor. And when that day, after we came back, of course we had the meal, and similar to today, then having the meal, then Ajahn Chah gave a talk, a reflection, and one of the things he said was or a couple of things he said. He said that Ajahn Chah, before getting a title and after getting a title, he's still the same person. No, so it was that yeah, there might be a title, but it's still the same person. And then he gave a lovely image of. He said it's like in Ubon there's a large river that goes through the Moon River that goes out, and then goes out to the Mekong River. And he said every year the Moon River goes up in the rainy season and it goes down in the dry season. And but the bridge over the Moon River stays the same. He said, and as a monk, as a practitioner of Dhamma, said that's what we have to do, and say that the worldly conditions of praise and blame, of gain and loss, of recognition or say ill repute, those always go up and they go down. They go up and they go down. But what's important is to be like the bridge that stays the same, stays in place. And it's like that creating that steadiness of Dhamma in the heart that is able to maintain an evenness of recognizing that conditions in the world will always change. Whether you're say a monastic or a layperson or a fully awakened Buddha, some people are going to praise you, some people are going to blame you. Sometimes things will go smoothly, sometimes it will be difficult. That's always going to be the case. That's the nature of being in this human condition. But we have this opportunity of having Dhamma as a refuge and to be able to recollect that, to take our refuge in the teachings of the Buddha and the practices that allow us to have a clarity and stability within the heart that isn't shaken by the changes in the world. And it's an important reflection, because whatever we do, things are always going to be. There's like that in the suttas. There's a saying that comes up over and over again. Yena himanyati tatotam hoti anyata. So it's like, for however one conceives it, it will always be other than that. It's, however we think about something, it's always going to end up never quite the same. It's always going to be different. And so to be able to factor that in with wisdom and clarity, and so that we're not shaken, we're not moved by things, and it doesn't mean we don't feel anything, but that's got a place. It's got, all those different feelings have a place there. Another thing that Ajahn Chah said on that occasion was, he said it's like the king in giving a acknowledgement or recognition. He said it's like, he said it's sort of like putting gas in a car. It's like, it keeps the car going. And he said it was sort of just that acknowledgement for somebody who's doing something skillful and good. Then it is an encouragement, and to be able to continue to do that. So I think similarly, at the times, since Ajahn Chah received his title to the present day, it's not so different, and try to take that example for me and for the rest of us, like the four that did receive their titles, that to look on it in that similar light, and to hold it in the same way, so that it's something that is of a benefit to others, and recognizing that the elements of we live in a world of supposition, in the sense that we assume things into existence. And that's something, again, reflecting on Ajahn Chah and his teachings, there's two words in Thai that he would kind of talk around and try to get people to reflect on. And one is samut and vimut. It's like samuti satcha and vimutti satcha. So that the truth of supposition, or things that are of a conditioned nature, that are assumed into reality, but things of a transcendent or liberated nature. And No, the reality is our human condition is fundamentally a condition of supposition and assumption. Whether it's the titles or positions or our how we perceive ourselves as a part of society or family or what, all of these are suppositions. We have to live by them. We have to understand them. We have to understand their benefits. We have to understand their drawbacks. And when we understand, say the truth of supposition and assumption, then we have an opportunity of living with freedom. And as long as we carry things of a supposed nature into reality and assuming them to be too real, then we create obstacles and difficulties for ourselves and miss the opportunity for freedom. And another, say, supposition or assumption is just the supposition of time. What we say that one of the things that people are, the occasion today is also my birthday, 70th birthday, and but then if you reflect on it, what is time? What's 70 years? It's just an assumption, because time is something that time is only what we think about or conceive, or thinking about the past. It's not that the past doesn't exist, but how we experience the past is always in the present moment. And all there is the present, and how we assume it into existence. It's important to recognize that time is something that we are creating by our own assumptions. And of course, there is a reality. 70 years, my body's very different than it was 50 years ago. And it's not going to be around in another 50 years. Who knows how long it'll be around. But that sense of time, is it a lot of time? Is it only a little bit of time? Those are things that we assume. And of course, it's really helpful to reflect on time, even if it is just an assumption or a supposition, because we do let time slip by us without understanding how to use it skillfully. And it's like one of the things, like our society, like a modern society, actually is quite well off materially, but it's time poor. Everybody feels they don't have enough time, and how does that work? How do we end up feeling poor in terms of we don't have enough time? And a lot of it is just through the that lack of paying attention and reflecting, investigating on the nature of time and the nature of our actions, and just because we, it's easy to think I never have enough time. I don't have enough time to do this. I don't have, but how come we have time for social media? we go down. I mean, and it's not just the lay people that go down the rabbit hole of YouTube, say, and you know, come up with watching some obscure. I mean, I've done it myself. You know, I said, "Wow, yeah, oh, that's kind of wow," and yet, why did I waste my time doing that? You know, it's just, but it's done by, you know, not paying attention and not giving attention to time. So that just reflecting on that and realizing that you know, we in order to get past that sense of being time poor, to be attentive to recognizing where we put our attention and where we put our intention is what's going to construct our life. That's what's going to construct our emotional well-being or our sense of lack, or a sense of not feeling so good about things. And so that, and then realizing that we don't have enough time to hold a grudge. You know, there's just not enough time in anybody's life to hold a grudge or to feel kind of slighted, or you know, it's just there's just not enough time in our life to do that. You need to realize, because we're picking up something and allowing that to consume our time and our attention, and then, or you know, some obsession over some particular thing that we desire or want, and those are, or we fear. Those are things that we invest our time into, and to realize that that's something that we don't have to do. We can choose to invest our time, our attention, our energy into things that bring about a sense of well-being and uplift and delight in the mind. So that, I mean, I just commend everybody who came today to, because it's an investment in time in doing something really beautiful, and it's for, say, your own well-being and for the well-being of others. And say when we ourselves feel uplifted and have a sense of delight, then there is a sense of our we bring benefit to others, the people around us. We're sharing in that goodness. So that, you know, as we reflect on something like that, okay, for myself, like 70 years, you think about it rashly, I think, 70 years, that's old. And I think, well, yeah, I'm old. But then, you know, you think about it again and say, well, you know, it's just a number. And so long as I don't, you know, go around, how do you say, creating problems for others with my oldness, then it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't really matter how old I am, what number is there. So that sense of using it as a reminder, a reflection of okay, how do I do this? How do I live this life skillfully? And of course, that's something that we all have the opportunity. That's one of the things of say, like drawing close to Sangha, drawing close to teachers, drawing close to the teachings is so important, or in reality, like drawing close to the Buddha, and it's we in reflecting on the Buddha as refuge, a sense of we do have this opportunity to draw close to the Buddha as a refuge, and the Buddha embodying those qualities of wisdom, of compassion, of purity. And those are qualities that we can cultivate, we can develop, we can take those qualities as refuge. It's not sort of taking a stone Buddha image as refuge. It's those are reminders, and it's also why I was really particular about what kind of image to have in our new hall, because I wanted one when people come in and they see it and it feels, okay, oh, that's a good the recollection of the qualities of the Buddha. There's a certain peace or some inspiration that is there, and that being able to live with that as a basis, as a foundation for our life, and that there's a really lovely story. I mean, it's not a story; it's an actual event, but that really touched me when I came across it, when I read it. It was the story of Luang Por Pasanno. Luang Por Pasanno was Ajahn Mun's teacher, his first teacher, who introduced him to, say, the meditation practice and the forest practice, but then Ajahn Mun practiced and took it to the level of full awakening, then came back and taught Luang Por Pasanno, taught his teacher until Luang Por Pasanno realized full awakening as well. And so Luang Por Pasanno is this highly respected monk from Ubon, another Ubon boy made good. And toward the end of his life, he'd be in his early 80s by then, and feeling, okay, things are winding down, and he wanted to go on one last tudong, one last pilgrimage, one last walking pilgrimage, because he'd spent most of his life in the forest. He was lived very simply. His teaching tended to be very, very simple. Like Ajahn Mun is known for his ability to teach. Luang Por Pasanno is much more known for just the example that he gave, and his teachings tended to be pretty simple, very straightforward. But he was an exemplary monastic who lived the teachings, and so as he was kind of ill, and then he'd also got stung by hornets, hornets in Thailand they're really deadly. It's not like a mosquito or a bee or something. This is really painful and packs a punch. And he was pretty, aged already and certainly weakened. So he was quite weakened, and he was starting to, and he couldn't walk anymore. But he wanted to go there's a shrine in Laos, in Champasak, a very old ancient monastery on the banks of the Mekong River, and he wanted to go there to just to pay respects and so he ended up not being able to walk much further. So the monks organized a boat, and then I think there were a couple days on this boat going down probably the Moon River, then to the Mekong, and along the Mekong to Champasak. And it wasn't, he was just lying there quite, not communicating, not, quite ill, and not at all well. And they pulled up on the banks of the Mekong, just below the temple, and as soon as they got there, then he sat up and said, "Are we there?" And so he's okay. He's up for. So then the monks help him put his robe on in a proper way, and then they start to walk up, and then he said to go get my sangati, this robe. Go get my sangati. So he's formally. This is about as when we have formal dress. This is what monks is formal dress. So he goes up they help him up the banks, and they go into the ordination hall, and they go to the front of this. It's a very ancient Buddha image, and he gets down, kneels, he bows very, very carefully, slowly, mindfully, bows once, bows twice, bows 3 times. And then the 3rd time, he didn't come back up. And so the monks sort of they're waiting, thinking, well, maybe he's reciting some gathas or some verses but then he hasn't got up yet. So then a monk came over and put his finger to his nose. Oh, he's passed away. He died. And it was sort of like just this act of devotion. What I'd really like to do, the last thing in my life, is bow to the Buddha. And just, that kind of devotion and and expression of gratitude, expression of fulfillment. Yeah, that's the last thing. If I did that as the last thing in my life, yeah, okay, life is good. So that sense of having the Buddha as refuge, having the Buddha as a place to bring our attention and recollect these refuges that we have: the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. These are the foundations that give us an opportunity for really growing in goodness and things that allow us to feel that I'd say we're not missing anything. We haven't missed out on anything. I think another thing that comes to mind is recollecting the Buddha, because oftentimes there's a lot of because 2,500 years since the Buddha passed away, and it's been a religion with a very rich history and art and mythology and stories, and everything is there. It's very, very rich and varied, and it's easy to, and even in the Buddha's time, like there's a discourse in the middle length teachings of the Buddha in Majjhima Nikaya where Ananda is recounting some of the wonderful and marvelous qualities of the Buddha, and he's touching all these wonderful and marvelous things that happened, the Buddha's conception and being in the womb and his mother, not having like just natural precepts all during that time, and pure thoughts, and then his birth and these miraculous things that happen, and then his early teachings, and all these wonderful and marvelous things that took place, and then the Buddha comes along, and as he tends to do, what was the discussion about? So then Ananda says, well, I've been talking about all the wonderful and marvelous qualities, and he recites them again, and the Buddha listens, and he approves. He said, yeah. He said, but there's another wonderful and marvelous quality of the Buddha that should be remembered. And then just to know the Tathagata, he refers to himself as the Tathagata. So when the Tathagata knows when feelings arise, knows when feelings establish themselves, he knows when feelings cease. He knows when perceptions, memories arise, knows when perceptions establish themselves, knows when they cease. He knows when thoughts arise, knows when thoughts establish themselves, knows when thoughts cease. Remember that as a wonderful and marvelous quality of the Buddha. Because bringing it right back to practice, how we look after our mind. Because you think of that in terms of our own, so how much we take and run with a particular memory or a thought or a feeling, and either we take and run with it, or we end up dragged along behind it. But it isn't just sort of known as arising, establishing, ceasing. So though those are again helpful recollection. Oh, this is a wonderful and marvelous quality of the Buddha, and that puts it into the realm of something that we can be doing, that we can be training in, that we can be cultivating. It's hard to cultivate, being born and taking 7 steps. And then declaring oneself as first in the world. That's a bit beyond, but really paying attention to our own minds, the way we condition ourselves, our emotions, and realizing, we have that opportunity, we have that ability to understand and to not be drawn into that. So that's really taking the Buddha as refuge. So that, say on this day, we're commemorating a few things. A birthday, my coming back to Vaigiri after being away for a little over a year, and then the receiving of a Chao Khun title. But I think in a bigger context, to expand it out and to recognize that, to remember that the whole source of whatever goodness there is in whatever opportunity for our own happiness and peace, it comes from the refuges of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and to keep establishing ourselves in that refuge. So I'll offer that for reflection this afternoon. I think as a closing, we could chant the dedication of merit, verses of sharing and aspiration. Do that in English. Anybody wants to follow along, it's in the page 33 of the dark brown chanting book. So that's okay. Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless through the goodness that arises from my practice. And through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled.